You're 11 years old in the East African interior when the rope goes around your neck. Not because you committed a crime, because somebody far east decided your body was worth carrying to the coast. It happens at dawn. Faust? Wrong. Men with guns and spears burst into your village before the cooking fires are fully lit. Your mother shoves your little brother behind a grain basket. Your father grabs a hoe like it might matter. It doesn't. The first shot drops him where he stands. The second one isn't for anyone in particular. It's for panic. People run. Children scream. Smoke climbs into the morning while the raiders move through the village like men sorting livestock. Women pulled one way, boys another. The old left where they fall. Then one of them yanks your chin up and slips a forked slave stick over your neck. Wood on skin. Pressure on bone. Breath suddenly expensive. That's your first lesson on the road to Zanzibar. You are not a child anymore. You are cargo that cries. They tie you to a line of strangers. A woman with a split lip. A boy younger than you. A man with blood drying on one side of his face. A girl carrying a baby that won't stop wailing until noon. Then the baby stops. No one turns back. That's the rule now. Don't look back. Don't ask who died. Don't ask who got left. Walk. Far to the east, Zanzibar has become one of the main slave trading ports in East Africa, tied to coastal trade networks and to the rise of plantation slavery under Omani rule. But you don't know the name Zanzibar yet. You only know the rope burns when you stumble and the men behind you hit harder when you slow down. And that's how it begins. Your life on the road to Zanzibar. The caravan moves at sunrise and stops when darkness makes escape pointless. You walk with a forked pole at your neck the first week, then ropes around your wrists when too many people begin collapsing. The raiders carry tusks too, ivory and people, white teeth from dead elephants, black bodies from burned villages, both headed east, both for profit. By the third day, your shoulders are striped from beatings. By the fifth, your feet are open meat. By the seventh, hunger becomes less a feeling than place you live in. They feed you just enough to keep value in your legs. That's the genius of the trade. It doesn't need you healthy. It just needs you sellable. At first, you count the people in the line. 43, then 39, then 34. A woman collapses with fever. They beat her until she tries to stand. When she can't, they cut the rope loose and leave her beside the trail. A man begs to stay with his wife. A gunshot answers for both of them. No grave, no prayer, no delay. You learn the mathematics of the caravan fast. A captive who walks as merchandise. A captive who falls as weight. And weight gets abandoned. At 12, you stop saying your mother's name out loud. Not because you forgot it, because it hurts too much to hear something beautiful. In a place like this, the road keeps changing. Forest, open scrub, thorn country, villages that go silent when the caravan approaches, market towns where traders inspect people the same way they inspect tusks, cloth, or beads. Men talk over your head in languages you half understand. Prices, distances, water, guns, sickness, demand on the coast. Demand, that word follows you farther than any chain. Somewhere out there are buyers you will never meet who have already decided what your life is for. Domestic labor, portering, plantation work, export across the sea. The destination shifts. The logic stays the same. Your body is now a plan made by strangers. One night, a woman in the line starts humming. Very soft. A song for grinding grain. A home song. The kind that belongs near smoke, children, and evening light. For a few seconds, the whole line changes. People straighten. Someone else almost smiles. Then a guard hears it. He walks over slowly, as if he has all the time in the world, and strikes her across the mouth with a stick until the song leaves in pieces. That's when you learn the next rule. Chains are not enough. A good system also starves memory. Weeks pass, maybe months. Time on a forced march doesn't behave like real time. It stretches when the sun is high. It disappears when someone dies. It breaks into pieces around thirst. You stop counting days and start counting rivers. Start counting beatings. Start counting the people still alive from your village. Now there are two, you and your little brother. He's 7, too small for this road, too small for the loads, too small for the speed. He falls often, and every time he falls your whole body goes cold because you've seen what happens to people who can't keep moving. So you start pulling him when the guards aren't looking, lifting his arm over your shoulders, giving him part of your ration, walking slow without seeming slower. Love becomes logistics. That's what captivity does. At 13, you reach a larger trade station inland. So many captives, some from farther inland than you, some from places you've never heard of, some already speaking coast languages, some scarred from older chains. You realize then that your suffering is not an accident. It's an industry. The East African caravan trade linked the interior to the coast through routes that carried both ivory and enslaved people, with major centers tied to Zanzibar and mainland depots like Bagamoyo. You are not walking through chaos. You are walking through supply lines. A trader grabs your jaw, checks your teeth, squeezes your upper arm, nods. Good for work, he says. Not good, good for work. Your little brother doesn't survive the next leg. It's not dramatic. No heroic moment. No last speech. No music. Just heat. Thirst. Then another. He keeps trying to get up because he still thinks trying matters. A guard curses, jerks the rope, hits him twice, then motions the line to keep moving. You twist backward so hard the rope cuts your wrists open. My brother, you shout. A blow slams into the side of your head. The world tilts. By the time you can see clearly again, he's on the ground behind you, small and still and already becoming part of the road. You don't even get to bury him. That's the worst cruelty on the slave routes. Not only do they kill people, they deny the living the right to stop. By the time you smell salt for the first time, you hardly react. You've been emptied too thoroughly for wonder. The coast appears as glare, heat, palm roofs, canoes, shouting in languages laid over each other. Your caravan has reached Bagamoyo, one of the major mainland depots at the end of caravan routes from the interior, directly across from Zanzibar. You are close enough to the ocean to hear freedom in it and too trapped to touch it. Someone laughs when you stare at the water. First time, he asks. You don't answer. The sea is beautiful in the stupidest possible way. Wide, blue, indifferent. They hold you on the mainland first. Crowded yard, little shade, bad water, worse smells. Women here, young boys there, strong men over there, the sick somewhere out of sight. A girl you walked beside for months gets taken behind a wall and returns with blood on her legs and no expression on her face. A man with a bad cough disappears before dawn. No one asks where. You know better now. Questions are a privilege for people with ownership. Then the boats begin taking groups across the channel. Zanzibar. You finally hear the name. You expected a place. What you get is a destination for pain. Stone buildings rise from the harbor. Carved doors. Narrow streets, traders, porters, guards, buyers, clocks, religion, wealth, spice in the air, rut underneath it. This island became infamous in the 19th century as a major slave trading port and the center of wider commercial networks under the Sultans of Zanzibar. Under Omani rule, clove plantations, and Indian Ocean trade expanded the demand for enslaved labor even as British pressure later tried to limit the trade. You don't know any of that in full. You only know this place is organized. That's somehow worse. Chaos at least looks like madness. A market looks like approval. They line you up, wash your face, tell you to stand straight, tell you not to speak unless spoken to. Tell you not to cry because buyers hate swollen eyes. One by one, people are inspected. Arms, teeth, Back, scars, age. A woman in front of you is turned around twice like cloth on a stall. A boy gets his mouth forced open. An older man is rejected and sent aside with the sick. You never see him again. By the 1860s, thousands are being sold each year in Zanzibar's slave market. You do not know the numbers, but you can feel scale. Human suffering has a sound when enough bodies make it at once. It sounds like a market working normally. Then it's your turn. A buyer presses your shoulders, looks at your hands, asks if you can carry loads. You say yes because no is not a language anyone here is buying. You are not shipped overseas. Instead, you are sold on Zanzibar itself. A clove plantation, rows of trees, damp heat, the sweet smell of spice floating over something rotten enough to cancel it. Work starts before sunrise and ends when your arms no longer feel attached to you. Cloves picked, loads carried, water hauled, orders shouted. You thought the road was the whole nightmare. It wasn't. The road was delivery. This is ownership. Plantation slavery on Zanzibar expanded sharply in the 19th century alongside the island's clove economy, drawing in enslaved labor from the mainland and beyond. At 15, you no longer remember your own face clearly. Only functions. Hands for picking, back for carrying, eyes down, mouth shut, move when ordered. A woman in the labor line tells you her name is Asha. She says it like a secret, like giving you a piece of gold she should have hidden better. That night she tells you something else. There are treaties now. Pressure from the British. Men in palaces signing papers. You almost laugh. Paper. Paper has never lifted a load from your shoulders. Still, the island is changing. Pressure from Britain pushed the Sultan toward anti-slave trade treaties in 1873, later decrees in 1890, and legal abolition in 1897. But coercion and dependency did not disappear overnight. You learn the hardest truth adults know and children shouldn't. Laws can arrive long before freedom does. At 17, a man from the estate office comes to read out new rules. Less open buying, more registration, more inspections, more paperwork. The world outside calls this progress. Maybe it is, but progress from the perspective of people who already survived the market feels thin. The chain can change shape without stopping being a chain. Esha disappears that same year. Some say she escaped. Some say she was resold quietly. Some say the overseer got tired of hearing her speak her own name. You keep saying yours in your head. Every morning before work. Every night before sleep. Not because it saves you. Because it stops the machine from finishing its job. At 20, you are still alive. That surprises you more than anyone else. You have survived the raid, the fork stick, the march, your brother's death, the coast, the crossing, the market, the plantation. People looking at you from outside might call it endurance. They'd be wrong. It's not endurance. It's subtraction. Each place took something. Family, language, grief, childhood, illusion, time. By the end, what remains is not the person who was captured. It's the person ownership failed to erase completely. Because paper never carried your brother's body. Paper never walked 1,200 kilometers in chains. Paper never stood in a line waiting to be priced. That's the lie polite history tells. That ending a system on paper is the same thing as restoring the people it consumed. It isn't. You survived the road to Zanzibar. But survive is too soft a word. You were taken inland. Counted, beaten, inspected, sold, worked, renamed by strangers who never once asked what your mother called you. Small, hidden. Sometimes that is all survival is. Not winning, not healing, just refusing to become anonymous to yourself. You've seen East Africa on the slave road, where the body is marched, priced, and sold through a chain of traders stretching from the interior to the sea. But farther south, another empire was building a different kind of cage. Not a caravan. A desert. a rifle, and a people the colonizers decided should disappear.